Hi, I'm Neil O'Grady, osteopath, and just leading on from my previous video, I'm now going to explain what's called a seated inflection test to diagnose a sacroiliac dysfunction as opposed to an iliosacral dysfunction. So you get the patient seated on the bench with the knees in close to the edge of the bench and the feet on the floor. I'm just going to roll the t-shirt up a little bit here, and I need to get my thumbs on the PSIS, again the posterior superior iliac spine. So I'll work down off the iliac crest about 45 degrees and feel these two bony protuberances here. Get my thumbs in under, and I just want to come in slightly medially onto the sulcus, but still in contact with the PSIS. And what I'll do is I'll get you, Nicola, to wrap your fingers and hands around the back of your head, and I'll get you to slump forward slowly. Okay, in this case, there doesn't appear to be any sacroiliac dysfunction. If you come up again, and for the purpose of demonstration again, if you go forward again, what will happen if there's a sacroiliac dysfunction is the left side will drag. The difference between the standing and seated is in the seated, the sits bones or the ischial tuberosity is on the couch, fixing the pelvis in place. So what happens then, as the spine flexes forward, it drags the sacrum, and if the sacrum is locked, it'll drag with it on the dysfunctional side. So we have diagnosed, we'll say that there's a dysfunction on the left side here, and it's an iliosacral dysfunction. The confusing part of all this is, if the standing flexion test is positive, it's an iliosacral dysfunction. If the seated flexion test is positive, it's a sacroiliac dysfunction. If both the standing and the seated are positive, it's a sacroiliac dysfunction. So in other words, the sacroiliac test, the sacroiliac dysfunction or the seated inflection test trumps the two. So that, everybody, is the seated inflection test. Now we have diagnosed that there's a sacroiliac dysfunction test. There'll be different tests to diagnose what the actual dysfunction is. So that's the seated inflection test. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please subscribe. Talk to you next time.